The law intern who has alleged sexual harassment at the hands of Justice A.K. Ganguly has hit back at the former Supreme Court judge in a point-by-point rebuttal. On Monday, Justice Ganguly broke his silence and wrote a letter to the Chief Justice of India, Justice Sathasivam, denying the allegation of sexual misconduct brought against him by the law intern. The intern has now hit back on the website Legally India that had first published her blog where she made allegations of sexual harassment against Justice Ganguly without naming him. Since then, the matter has been heard by a Supreme Court committee, but no action has been taken against Justice Ganguly, who is in fact the head of the West Bengal Human Rights Commission. The intern on the website Legally India writes that she has the discernment to pursue appropriate proceedings at appropriate times and that rumours surrounding the case have been propagated out of prejudice and malice. She says her Kolkata Law College did not have an anti-harassment policy at the time of the incident. She did not lodge a police complaint as it was only an effort on her part to seek confidentiality regarding the proceedings. She writes, status and position should not be confused with standards of morality. She goes on to say she needed to clarify her statement and that she had authorized Additional Solicitor General Indira Jaising to go public with her statement made before the Supreme Court panel. The intern says it was necessary for her to clarify her statement to preserve her dignity and that of the Supreme Court. And we earlier spoke to Kian Gans, the editor of Legally India, the portal which published the intern's blogs.
Quite an unprecedented situation in many ways. And a lot of this is actually taking place in the court, but then obviously the media has been taking a lot of attention as well. And Justice Ganguly also has been using the media clearly to try and defend himself and make the charges also not fixed. So I think what's important to remember now is that we are looking at a judicial process that's taking place. The Supreme Court has already looked at it, and 3 judges have decided that at first instance it seems that there is a case to be answered. Now, they haven't got a full version of events from Justice Ganguly, and he will be expected also to give a full version of events if the presidential reference now goes on. And I believe the Attorney General Ghulam Ranwati has already given the okay for presidential reference. And if that happens, what we can expect to see is a full trial type situation where actually witnesses will be called for both sides and Justice Ganguly will be able to put his side of the story as well. And it will be properly examined again by a Supreme Court panel. And if that process takes place, I think it's premature to start, as A.K. Ganguly seems to have done, for example, making an elaborate defense of exactly why this shouldn't be happening. I think this should all happen during the presidential reference in front of the Supreme Court, and it shouldn't necessarily be played out in the media. And I think that is what has caused the intern also to release that statement yesterday on her blog. I think we'll have to wait and see how this pans out. I mean, it's a complicated situation again, but I think on the flip side also, if you have been following the media reports on this case in the last couple of weeks or right from the beginning, there's also been misinformation floating about, and certain sources, perhaps from both sides, have been leaking information strategically in order to advance the case as well. And I think that's happened very clearly also from people who are in Justice Ganguly's camp. And I think from that perspective, it's very reasonable of the intern actually to want to put her story out as well and say this is what happened, because unfortunately, for better or worse, this fight is being partly fought in the media.
My colleague Monadeepa Banerjee spoke to Kalyan Banerjee, an MP of the Trinamool Congress, which has been demanding Justice Ganguly's resignation.
The Justice Ganguly's letter to the Honorable Chief Justice of India is an afterthought. Why he did not raise the question when Supreme Court called him to appear? He would have raised this question before his appearance before the Supreme Court. Today he stopped to raise these questions. Once he had surrendered before the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court administrative side, he cannot raise this question today by a letter. If today he has any question, if he has any doubt about the propriety or the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court, he would have gone to any court. He has not gone. He has not gone to any court of law. Therefore, on that day he had accepted the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. He had said very hurriedly he had gone through the complaint. Why? He could have asked for a copy of the complaint. Everybody knows about that. He was a judge of a Supreme Court. Therefore, he didn't ask for the copy of the complaint on that day. Nobody had compelled him to give to say on that date itself. He could have asked for, he didn't ask for. Everything is an afterthought today.
Now, retired Supreme Court Judge Justice A.K. Ganguly has finally spoken out. In an 8-page letter to the Chief Justice of India, Ganguly has questioned the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court panel and says he's being targeted because he had given judgments against powerful interests.
After being staked out by the media for days, retired Justice A.K. Ganguly has finally broken his silence, raising 36 points in a letter to the Chief Justice of India. I have never harassed, nor did I make any unwelcome advances to any female intern, he writes. He then questions the need for the Supreme Court to set up the 3-judge panel and the panel's jurisdiction over a retired judge and a former law intern who was not on the Supreme Court's rolls. He questions the fact that the additional Solicitor General Indira Jaising has made public the intern's affidavit. Was it with your approval? He asks the Chief Justice of India. Finally, Ganguly also hints that he may be a target of vested interests. The events clearly seem to suggest that there is a concerted move to tarnish my image, as I had the unfortunate duty of rendering certain judgments against powerful interests, he writes. If that triggers a collateral attack on me, then it poses a threat to the independence of the judiciary. Justice Ganguly, it may be recalled, had ruled in the 2G case. Indira Jaising has refused to comment except to say that the intern authorized me to disclose her statement as she was distressed. The Chief Justice of India is expected to respond to Justice Ganguly's letter post-Christmas. With A. Vaidyanathan in Delhi, in Kolkata, Monideepa Banerjee, NDTV.